Sports Marketing Now.
Hello and welcome to Sports Marketing Now. I'm Holly Koski, and Sports Marketing Now is a weekly show where we talk about all of the latest topics in the sports marketing world. And today we have Max Huber from Row 27 and Caleb Mezzi from calebmezzi.com. Hey guys, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Max in studio.
I feel much better. You know, I got this guy over my shoulder here. It's a little different, but glad to be here.
Caleb, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here with you and Max.
In Philly, right?
In Philly. Best sports town, by the way.
Oh, okay. Definitely a little better than Minnesota as of late.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Caleb, tell me a little bit and the viewers about what calebmezzi.com is and what you do.
Yeah, so my overall specialty would be social media, and my presence, I guess, online would just be social media in sports. I like that intersection. I like to kind of dive into that and see what's going on with the current trends. And for my own purpose, I'm actually starting my own company, Caleb Mezzi Social Media Marketing and Partnership Activation, where I'm working with teams and athletes and trying to build my clientele with some sports personalities and their online presence.
Awesome. And Max is one of our marketing associates and obviously a fixture on the SBN Live now. So
yeah, just doing what I can to help the company, and I'm glad to be on this show. And actually, I'm pretty excited to talk to Caleb. Just kind of looking at his information right now. Did follow you on Twitter, just so you know. So I'm upping that number for you.
Networking simultaneously.
Yes.
Beauty. All right, well, let's get to some topics here, latest in marketing. And this, about 2 weeks ago, OralB, the, I guess, toothpaste, mouthwash, dental company, really did a marketing stunt with UFC fighter Renan Barrow. I probably pronounced that wrong, but Brazilian UFC fighter. And they basically gave him an LED mouthguard, which is kind of ridiculous, but also really cool. So Brian, if you want to show the video of him going into the arena where it shows all of his really just lighting up his mouth, which is kind of a cool marketing stunt here. So he's entering the octagon, as they like to say, and pretty soon here you'll see just what we're talking about.
You can already tell it seems like it's going to be pretty cool. It's a dark arena besides some of the lights above, but when they walk in, it seems like it's going to be a pretty cool concept with all these guys. I mean, just look at that. Their mouths are glowing. It's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, I think any time you can take advantage of something that is just so normal, you know, like the entering of the stage, you have the music and all that stuff, and everything is so mundane and, you know, repetitive every event. Anytime you can, you know, like what we were just talking about, product placement, place something in there creatively to kind of like leave a statement. You know, I never heard of this guy, so now I know him and he's associated with OralB. So that's kind of the marketing, you know, right there. I don't know if OralB has a UFC contract or a contract with Renan, but now I know kind of who this guy is because of that. So it's a win-win for both brand and the athlete right there.
Yeah, a little guerrilla marketing definitely in action there. He's actually one of the better, I believe, welterweight fighters, or bantamweight, excuse me. And, I mean, I loved it that his whole posse was wearing the mouthguard as well, even though they have nothing, you know, they're not fighting, they don't need a mouthguard, but definitely, you know, reinforcing that brand message. But the only thing I didn't really like about it was you had to research who, you know, was behind it. It was OralB, but it didn't have any signage or anything like that in terms of, you know, logo placement. And it was for their 3D white product. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
Right, and it's taking a piece of inventory that's already there. Mm-hmm. Every fighter is going to wear this mouthguard. It's required in the UFC. So they're able to take this existing piece and do something cool with it. But like you said, it didn't say OralB on it. Mm-hmm. You kind of had to search, and the news had to come out later. And I mean, it was still OralB 3D White is getting a lot of press for it, but it would have been really cool at the time if people would have completely understood that this is OralB sending the message out to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, Caleb, I mean, talk about how they could have maybe incorporated a little bit of social media behind it. Because I searched for, any tweets relating to the event. It said it looked like it got a lot of buzz on Twitter. But as far as OralB is concerned, what could they have done to really amp it up?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And just to go on what Max was saying, I have a question: is who is associated with OralB? Is it a UFC thing? Is it this fighter who's associated with OralB? But this is where the activation part comes in. OralB could have had a mouth guard with a hashtag on it. Then it would have zoomed in or something like that. I mean, I don't know how short the hashtag would have had it been. But I mean, I know UFC is really big in social media, and it could have been something like white in this or something like that on the bottom of the screen with OralB's logo or something like that to kind of ignite that conversation. And the thing that they really want to do is they want to, while this is still fresh in their minds, ignite it so everybody's like on Twitter saying, what the heck is hashtag this? And then OralB should really take the aggressive approach and tweet to those people, we're behind this. There should be no reason why you, the consumer, has to do all the searching. It should be them engaging you.
Exactly.
Another thing that they could have done is they could have done kind of almost a full around marketing effort. They could have had a hashtag on the mouth guard. Even the shirt that he was wearing. I mean, these UFC fighters are sponsored. You'll see some of them with logos on their shorts, on their T-shirt. They could have implemented that as well and put something on there. So I feel like they did an okay job, but I feel like OralB dropped the ball on really getting the full outreach that they could have gotten on this.
Right. Could have taken it to the next level. I know the marketing company behind it. It's called Africa. It's actually based out of Brazil, so it makes total sense. But they were, behind the creative and everything like that. So, we'll see if they even go back to it again. If he, wears the mouth guard for another event, another fight. But yeah, an interesting guerrilla marketing tactic.
Yeah, and you bring up guerrilla marketing. I almost wonder if OralB is trying to hit onto the UK territory, or if they even have a consumer base there. Because if that's one of their tactics, I mean, to be honest, if this happened on like a Saturday night here, like the last UFC event, last Saturday, I don't know that it would have actually hit home as much.
Right.
But maybe in the UK, it's kind of like a bigger deal. They don't really know about the 3D whitening, or maybe the consumers don't really care about teeth whitening like Americans do here. So, I mean, I don't really know how that if that was like a strategy in place. Because if it was, then the social media thing is almost like they don't really care. They only want the audience, and who knows how many people are there.
Right. It was at the O2 Arena, so pretty big venue over there. But definitely an interesting point about the strategy behind it. And moving on now to American soil, especially a more timely topic with NASCAR's Daytona 500 just happening this past weekend. And obviously Danica Patrick was the story of the event, as she won the pole, and she actually finished in 8th, if I'm not mistaken. But, it was the Danica Effect was in full gear. And, sales of her gear were up 350% rather than last year, her first, race of the Daytona. She also, definitely contributed to NASCAR's ratings on Fox. They actually saw 30% more people tune in than last year, which was held on a Monday because of rain, but definitely a huge spike. I believe if it was like 23% over 2011. So still, how a huge spike. And how do you think Danica contributed, and how does NASCAR capitalize?
She is helping NASCAR reach a different market. Being a NASCAR fan myself,
oh, you are okay.
a big NASCAR fan. So people might not know what I'm wearing. A nice sweater. I don't really look like a NASCAR fan, but big NASCAR fan. And she's bringing a sexiness to the sport. I mean, she's giving men something to look at. She's giving women more of a reason to cheer. And she's just it's something different, and I think it's good for the sport. The fact that she got the pole was outstanding. I don't care if you're a man or a woman, winning the pole for a NASCAR event is a big deal. And then getting top 10, hopefully she is able to carry that over and have a great season and really keep the momentum going. Last year was just a partial season for her in the NASCAR Sprint Cup. So I see good things from her. She's won an IndyCar race. Some people think she's just a marketing ploy, but she can drive, and she's a good race car driver. It'll be interesting to see if she's able to excel and really do a good job this year.
Caleb, what are your thoughts on, just NASCAR really taking off with marketing efforts, whether it be her or other drivers from this?
Yeah, I actually do think Danica is a marketing ploy, but not for NASCAR, for GoDaddy. And I think that's actually hurt her image in a way. It's a little played out, sick of the commercials, especially at the Super Bowl. Seems like they're going away for it. But in terms of NASCAR, I think, everything that Max said is echoed. I think she's great for the sport. I actually think she's better for women in sports than just NASCAR. I hate to go back to UFC, but this was a big weekend for UFC. Danica placed 8th, highest, place for any women in NASCAR, and we had, giant UFC fight with 2 women, which is pretty pivotal in that sport. So I think her effect, since that's the question, is pretty worldwide in sports. In NASCAR, I would like to see stats. I'm not a very big NASCAR fan, but I would like to see stats on the rate of enjoyment from women and involvement in getting into the sport of NASCAR and that kind of stuff. To actually say that her effect of women in NASCAR is actually working, I don't know. I have no stats on that, but I think that is something that's kind of interesting to kind of study. Is to see what is she a transcending individual in the sport like a Michael Jordan was or like a Tiger Woods was? She could be. I think that's still out there.
No, especially with, how NASCAR is so sponsorship based, and, females are really doing the shopping in terms of, household products and things like that. So it'll be interesting if there's any bridge between the sponsor and targeting those new female demographic fans that might have, come up now that Danica's really gotten a foothold. So another interesting thing. But I like that GoDaddy comment, because I definitely agree with that, how it's almost damaged her brand, that she's almost too reliant on that instead of, some of her other unique aspects of herself.
Yeah. I think I read somewhere that she's the first NASCAR driver to have a website as her sponsor and brand on her, outfit. I don't know if that's true, but that's something I read. But I actually want to ask Max. Do you think that female drivers are becoming more involved in the sport of NASCAR because of her?
I don't know. I mean, there's always been female drivers in different divisions, whether it's IndyCar, NASCAR, Sprint Cup racing, but I think that it might open up a whole new level. NASCAR has the diversity program where they get, women, minorities involved in the sport, and because they understand and they want to grow. They've gotten into Canada. They've raced in Mexico. They want to broaden their brand. Formula One's the worldwide racing brand, and they understand, NASCAR does, that they have a small they have the U.S. market, and they really want to expand, and that includes, it's going to include women, it's going to include minorities, so they're doing what they can, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes. One thing I did want to touch on, you mentioned the Danica and everything with, and then with the female household member being the one that's going to do a lot of the purchasing and have the buying power. It would be interesting to see if Danica had a consumer products good as a sponsor, or Target or Best Buy, and see how that would have an effect. Not everybody's going to go out and buy a website,
right,
but NASCAR fans are very loyal to their brand.
Yeah.
If their driver's a Coke driver, they're drinking Coke, and etc. Yep. So I would like to see it if she had a sponsorship like that, and what the effect would be.
Yeah, you put that a lot more eloquently than I did, so well done on that point. Moving along to the MLS now, the Colorado Rapids are really really doing some great things with their new jerseys. Actually, they're putting season ticket holders' names on the jersey. Every season ticket holder, they have over 1,000 on, on their arsenal or whatever. And this quick video shows the different kits that every MLS team is going to have this year, whether that be the Colorado Rapids or another team. There's a close-up of every name on the jersey, and product manager from Adidas kind of speaking about it. The other jersey is the Colorado state flag, which is kind of a cool thing to actually be almost wearing the state's flag. So what are your thoughts on having season ticket holders' names on the jersey? It'd be cool if they're actually selling this. I don't know if they're doing that yet, but is this a good idea or really a waste of money?
I'll let Caleb go first on this one.
Caleb.
And then
Okay, I really like this idea. I think it's an awesome idea. Holly and I were talking a little bit before about this and how it could be replicated by other teams or just other uniform kind of things. I mean, could it be on a hat? Could it be on, some other thing? Do they sell it? I personally think that every season ticket holder should get one of these jerseys.
Right.
Just to kind of say, like, we had our name on this. Or at least be able to access it to buy it. So, maybe they're not on sale for the public, but maybe they're on sale for the 1451, people whose name is listed on there. I actually think it's a really cool idea. It kind of gets me thinking in terms of how to activate the fans.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one way to do it. It's kind of like a one-way street kind of thing, but it shows an appreciation. And for a team, that's doing that, I mean, there's millions of teams that have more money than these soccer teams and aren't doing stuff like this. So the fact that a team like this is showing that appreciation is just really cool.
I'm going to tie this back to NASCAR. Tony Stewart did this a few years ago where fans were able to enter their name at Office Depot, I believe it was, and their name ended up on his car. And you were able to, and I don't know if the Rapids do this, but it would be something really interesting if they had it. Fans were able to search and find where their name was on the car. That would be cool if every single Rapids jersey was the same pattern.
Right.
If fans were able to zoom in, find their name. I think one thing that this is going to be big for could be game-worn jersey auctions. Fans at the end of the year, their name is on the jersey.
Right.
So, one of your favorite players, obviously you're a big fan, wore this jersey. You kind of want to buy it. You'll be able to highlight it and say, "Hey, I made a difference. I was on this jersey. I'm part of the team." And I think that's one of the biggest parts of it is it actually makes fans feel a part of the team, and I think it's great.
Especially since, it's a player-worn jersey. That kind of just adds to that, or a great idea with that. Caleb, did you have something else?
Yeah, even with the NASCAR thing, I mean, Brad, that guy with the long last name,
Keselowski.
Yeah, he put everybody's Twitter handle on his car, I think, at one point.
Okay.
It was either his car or his, jacket kind of thing. So I think you could, I forget how he did it, but I'm trying to look up the article now. But, something like that, I mean, it kind of brings up a good point for a team to find out in their CRM, and, I'll go back to Russell Scabetti, the CRM expert, to look in their CRM and find their season ticket holders and where they are on social media, what their Twitter handles may or may not be, and kind of activate them in terms of, engaging with them, saying tweet to your season ticket holders and let them have first dibs, or let them have a tweet and associate the brand of the team with the player, the season ticket holder itself. I mean, that would be kind of cool too. I mean, I just remember this NASCAR thing, but this was a pretty big deal when it came out. I think it was it was end of January last year. It was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, no, it'll be, social media is not going anywhere, and luckily for you, Caleb.
Yeah.
And, to see teams really embrace it and recognize their fans, whether it be putting their name on a jersey, their hashtag on a jersey. I know some people or some teams have done social media nights where you get a T-shirt and it has your personal handle on the back of it. I know the Tampa Bay Rays did that. So they are definitely finding new ways to really engage fans. So
yeah, I would love to kind of discuss the idea of how this can be replicated somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
like with a hat or something like that. You guys have any?
I think the jersey idea is great. Obviously, it's one of the larger materials that a team is going to have or a player is going to have, so it gives you that opportunity. The name doesn't need to be huge. It can be small. You can fit as many of them on there as you need. With the race car, obviously, you've got that inventory. Yeah, I'd have to think about that one and see what else out there in the world, sports-wise, is large enough to fit that many names. And would kind of make sense where fans are able to touch it as in a race car and see it as a jersey would be. But
Yeah,
this is probably the first of its kind, but I'm sure it's not the last.
I agree.
Well, great content, guys. Really great discussion. Thank you for joining us today, and we will see you on next week's edition of Sports Marketing Now, Tuesday, 3 p.m. Central Time. And then Thursday, Sports Business Now live, where we'll do an entire wrap-up show. And as always, you can find us on sportsbusinessnow.com. We'll see you next week.
Sports Marketing Now.